Everybody, yes, I'm low. I'm late, but that's okay. Little's sleeping, so when she's here, uh, we do devotions later. Okay, that might not be good. I don't know if I'm doing devotions on Sunday. We'll see. I think I am because everybody will still be sleeping then. So you did your get your ball. Let's start. Oh my gosh. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give, give us a. I'll start over. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us for our trespasses, and forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Jehovah, thank you for another beautiful day on your beautiful earth. And thank you for allowing us to wake up today. And thank you for what you did for us in the past, present, and what you will do for us in the future. And, and just thank you, Jehovah, for creating us. Huh. Thank you for creating a woman. When they said some women don't like it, when they hear if it wasn't for a man, we wouldn't be here. But it's true. But but if it wasn't for us to carry the baby, mankind wouldn't be here. So it's kind of cool. It's a team effort. So it's a team effort. Jehovah, please help the following people who need help because they're seriously ill. Tate, who has cancer and a heart condition. Cindy Lee, Lisa, Shannon Doherty, King Charles, Princess Kate, Jen's friend Shannon, and Celine Dion. Celine Dion has stiff person syndrome. The rest of the names I just read has cancer. Please help them in physical and mental strength so they can fight off the disease. Christina and Jenny with their medical needs, as well as Robin. Help Tiffany's son find a home and help Robin's family in this sad time. Help Robin too, definitely. Miss Diane let her enter the time of rest until the Lord Jesus comes back for us and creates paradise. Oh, yeah, I can't wait. Arnie, Vicky and family, Carol and her mom. Please help them and anything else they need. In the name of Jesus, in Jesus' name, amen. Strongest man. Now this one has, at the end, the 4 chapters to read. So we'll just lay back. Hopefully I don't fall asleep this time.
Story number 54. The Strongest Man. Do you know the name of the strongest man who ever lived?
David?
He is a judge named Samson.
Samson.
It is Jehovah who gives Samson his strength. Even before Samson is born, Jehovah tells his mother, "Soon you will have a son. He will take a lead in saving Israel from the Philistines." The Philistines are bad people who live in Canaan. They have many fighting men, and they really hurt the Israelites. Once, when Samson is on his way to where the Philistines live, a big lion comes roaring out to meet him. But Samson kills the lion with only his bare hands. He also kills hundreds of bad Philistines. Later, Samson falls in love with a woman named Delilah. The Philistine leaders promise that each of them will give Delilah 1,100 pieces of silver if she tells them what makes Samson so strong. Delilah wants all that money. She is not a true friend of Samson or of God's people. So she keeps asking Samson what it is that makes him so strong. Finally, Delilah gets Samson to tell her the secret of his strength. "My hair has never been cut," he says. "From the time that I was born, God chose me to be a special servant of his called
I am so sorry, I forgot to scroll.
If my hair was cut, I would lose my strength." Well, when Delilah learns this, she has Samson go to sleep on her lap. Then she calls a man to come in and cut his hair. When Samson wakes up, he has lost his strength. The Philistines then come and capture him. They put out both his eyes and make him their slave. One day, the Philistines have a big party to worship their god Dagon, and they bring Samson out of prison to make fun of him. In the meantime, Samson's hair has grown again. Samson says to the boy who was leading him by the hand, "Let me touch the pillars that hold the building up." Then Samson prays to Jehovah for strength and takes hold of the pillars. He cries out, "Let me die with the Philistines." There are 3,000 Philistines at the party, and when Samson bends himself against the pillars, the building falls down and kills all these bad people.
Yeah. Alright. Now we go read chapter 13, 14, 15, and 16. Just lay back. You can do diamond painting. You can color. I might color. Yeah. I have to do scrolling. But, audio.
Chapter 13. Again, the Israelites did what was bad in Jehovah's eyes, and Jehovah gave them into the hand of the Philistines for 40 years. Meanwhile, there was a man of Zorah, of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah. His wife was barren and childless. In time, Jehovah's angel appeared to the woman and said to her,
Look, you are barren and childless, but you will conceive and give birth to a son. Now be careful not to drink wine or anything alcoholic, and do not eat anything unclean. Look, you will conceive and give birth to a son, and no razor should touch his head, because the child will be a Nazirite of God from birth, and he will take the lead in saving Israel out of the hand of the Philistines.
Then the woman went and told her husband.
A man of the true God came to me, and his appearance was like an angel of the true God, very awe-inspiring. I did not ask him where he was from, nor did he tell me his name, but he said to me, Look, you will conceive and give birth to a son. Now do not drink wine or anything alcoholic, and do not eat anything unclean, because the child will be a Nazirite of God from birth until the day of his death.
Manoah pleaded with Jehovah and said,
Pardon me, Jehovah. Please, let the man of the true God whom you just sent come again to instruct us about what we should do with the child who will be born.
So the true God listened to Manoah, and the angel of the true God came again to the woman while she was sitting in the field. Her husband Manoah was not with her. The woman quickly ran and told her husband.
Look, the man who came to me the other day has appeared to me.
Then Manoah got up and went with his wife. He came to the man and said to him,
Are you the man who spoke to my wife?
He said,
I am.
Then Manoah said,
May your words come true. What will be the child's manner of life, and what will be his work?
So Jehovah's angel said to Manoah,
Your wife should keep herself from everything that I mentioned to her. She should not eat anything that the grapevine produces. She should not drink wine or anything alcoholic, and she should not eat anything unclean. Everything that I commanded her, let her observe.
Manoah now said to Jehovah's angel,
Please stay, and let us prepare a young goat for you.
But Jehovah's angel said to Manoah,
If I stay, I will not eat your food. But if you wish to present a burnt offering to Jehovah, you may offer it up.
Manoah did not know that he was Jehovah's angel. Then Manoah said to Jehovah's angel,
What is your name, so that we may honor you when your word comes true?
However, Jehovah's angel said to him,
Why are you asking about my name, seeing that it is a wonderful one?
Then Manoah took the young goat and the grain offering and offered them on the rock to Jehovah. And he was doing something amazing while Manoah and his wife were looking on. As the flame ascended from the altar heavenward, Jehovah's angel ascended in the flame from the altar, while Manoah and his wife were looking on. At once they fell with their faces to the ground. Jehovah's angel did not appear again to Manoah and his wife. Then Manoah realized that he was Jehovah's angel. Manoah then said to his wife,
We are sure to die, because it is God whom we have seen.
But his wife said to him,
If Jehovah wanted to put us to death, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering from our hand. He would not have shown us all these things, and he would not have told us any of these things.
Right.
The woman later gave birth to a son and named him Samson. And as the boy grew, Jehovah continued to bless him. In time, Jehovah's spirit started to impel him in Mahanadan, between Zorah and Eshtaol. Chapter 14. Then Samson went down to Timnah, and in Timnah he saw a Philistine woman. So he went up and told his father and mother,
In Timnah, a Philistine woman caught my eye, and I want you to get her for me as a wife.
Was
but his father and mother said to him,
Can you not find a woman among your relatives and among all our people?
Must you go and take a wife from among the uncircumcised Philistines?
So Samson said to his father,
Get her for me, because she is the right one for me.
His father and mother did not realize that this was from Jehovah, for he was looking for an opportunity against the Philistines, as the Philistines were ruling over Israel at that time. So Samson went down with his father and mother to Timnah. When he reached the vineyards of Timnah, why look, a lion came roaring at him. Then Jehovah's spirit empowered him, and he tore it in two, just as someone tears a young goat in two with his bare hands. But he did not tell his father or mother what he had done. Then he went down and spoke to the woman, and she was still the right one in Samson's eyes. Later, when he was going back to take her home, he turned aside to look at the dead body of the lion. And there, in the lion's carcass, was a swarm of bees and honey. So he scraped the honey out into his hands and ate it as he walked along. When he rejoined his father and mother, he gave them some to eat. But he did not tell them that he had scraped the honey out of the carcass of a lion. His father went down to the woman, and Samson held a banquet there, for that was what the young men used to do. When they saw him, they brought 30 groomsmen to accompany him. Then Samson said to them,
Please let me tell you a riddle. If during the 7 days of the banquet you solve it and tell me the answer, I will have to give you 30 linen garments and 30 outfits of clothing. But if you are unable to tell me the answer, you must give me 30 linen garments and 30 outfits of clothing.
what's wrong, baby?
They said,
Tell us your riddle. We want to hear it.
You wanna play?
so he said to them,
Out of the eater came something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet.
They were unable to solve the riddle for 3 days. On the 4th day, they said to Samson's wife,
Trick your husband so that he will tell us the answer to the riddle. Otherwise, we will burn you and your father's house with fire. Did you invite us here to take our possessions?
So Samson's wife wept over him and said,
You must hate me. You do not love me. You told a riddle to my people, but you have not told the answer to me.
At this he said to her,
Why, I have not told it even to my own father and mother. Should I tell it to you?
but she kept weeping over him the rest of the 7-day banquet. He finally told her on the 7th day because she had pressured him. Then she told her people the answer to the riddle. So on the 7th day, before the sun set, the men of the city said to him,
What is sweeter than honey? And what is stronger than a lion?
He replied to them,
If you had not plowed with my young cow, you would not have solved my riddle.
Then Jehovah's Spirit empowered him, and he went down to Ashkelon and struck down 30 of their men and took their clothing and gave the outfits to those who had answered the riddle. He was furious as he went back up to his father's house. Samson's wife was then given to one of his groomsmen who had accompanied him. Chapter 15. After a while, in the days of the wheat harvest, Samson went to visit his wife, bringing a young goat. He said,
I wish to go in to my wife in the bedroom.
but her father did not allow him to go in. Her father said, I thought, you must surely hate her, so I gave her to your groomsmen. Is not her younger sister more attractive than she is? Please, take her instead. However, Samson said to them,
This time, I cannot be blamed by the Philistines for harming them.
So Samson went and caught 300 foxes. Then he took torches, turned the foxes tail to tail, and put one torch between each pair of tails. Then he set fire to the torches, and sent the foxes out into the fields of standing grain of the Philistines. He set on fire everything from sheaf to standing grain, as well as the vineyards and the olive groves. The Philistines
Lay down.
asked, Who did this? They were told,
It was Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite.
She's whining because Lil is out there sleeping and she wants to go lay with her. But Lil wants to sleep. So that's why the dog is whining. Ivy, you got your toys, you got your food, you got your water. What else? I know you want Lil, but she's sleeping. You're gonna have her all next week.
Because he took his wife and gave her to his groomsmen.
At that, the Philistines went up and burned her and her father with fire. Then Samson said to them,
If this is how you act, I will not quit until I take revenge on you.
Then he struck them down, one after the other, with a great slaughter, after which he went down and stayed in a cave of the crag Etam. Later the Philistines came up and camped in Judah, and were tramping about in Lehi. Then the men of Judah said,
Why have you come up against us?
To which they answered,
We have come up to capture Samson, to do to him just as he did to us.
So 3,000 men of Judah went down to the cave of the crag Etam and said to Samson,
Do you not know that the Philistines are ruling over us?
Oh my God, I
So
am
why
late.
have you done this to us?
Sorry.
He said to them,
As they did to me, so I did to them.
but they said to him,
We have come to capture you and to hand you over to the Philistines.
Then Samson said,
Swear to me that you yourselves will not assault me.
They said to him,
No, we will only tie you and hand you over to them, but we will not put you to death.
So they bound him with 2 new ropes and brought him up from the crag. When he came to Lehi, the Philistines shouted triumphantly at meeting him. Then Jehovah's Spirit empowered him, and the ropes on his arms became like linen threads that were scorched with fire, and his fetters melted off his hands. He now found a fresh jawbone of a male donkey. He reached out and grabbed it and struck down 1,000 men with it. Then Samson said,
With the jawbone of a donkey, 1 heap, 2 heaps. With the jawbone of a donkey, I struck down 1,000 men.
When he finished speaking, he threw the jawbone away and called that place Ramath Lehi. Then he became very thirsty, and he called on Jehovah and said,
It was you who gave this great salvation into the hand of your servant. But now am I to die of thirst and fall into the hands of the uncircumcised?
So God split open a hollow that was in Lehi, and water flowed from it. When he drank, his spirit returned, and he revived. That is why he named the place Enhakkore, which is in Lehi to this day. And he judged Israel in the days of the Philistines for 20 years.
Wow.
Chapter 16.
Last one.
One
Then we'll
time
go on to
Samson
another
went
one.
to Gaza and saw
Sorry.
a prostitute there, and he went in to her. The Gazites were told,
Samson has come here.
so they surrounded him and lay an ambush for him all night long in the city gate. They stayed quiet the whole night, saying to themselves,
When daylight comes, we will kill him.
However, Samson kept lying there until midnight. Then he got up at midnight and grabbed the doors of the city gate and the 2 side posts and pulled them out along with the bar. He put them on his shoulders and carried them up to the top of the mountain that faces Hebron. After that, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek whose name was Delilah. So the lords of the Philistines approached her and said,
Trick him and find out what gives him such great strength, and how we can overpower him and tie him and subdue him. For this, we will each give you 1,100 silver pieces.
Delilah later said to Samson,
Please, tell me where your great power comes from, and what can be used to tie you and subdue you.
Samson said to her,
If they tie me with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried out, I will grow as weak as an ordinary man.
So the lords of the Philistines brought up to her 7 fresh bowstrings that had not been dried out, and she tied him with them. Now they set an ambush in the inner room, and she called out to him.
The Philistines are upon you, Samson.
At that, he tore apart the bowstrings just as easily as a thread of flax comes apart when it touches fire. The secret of his power did not become known. Then Delilah said to Samson,
Look, you have fooled me and told me lies. Now tell me, please, what can be used to tie you?
So he said to her,
If they tie me up with new ropes that have not been used for work, I will grow as weak as an ordinary man.
So Delilah took new ropes and tied him with them, and called out.
The Philistines are upon you, Samson.
All the while, the ambush was set in the inner room. At that, he tore them off his arms like threads. After that, Delilah said to Samson,
Up until now, you have fooled me and told me lies. Tell me, what can be used to tie you?
Then he said to her,
If you weave the 7 braids of my head with the warp thread.
So she fixed them with a pin and called out to him.
The Philistines are upon you, Samson.
So he woke up from his sleep and pulled out the loom pin and the warp thread. She now said to him,
How can you say, I love you, when your heart is not with me? These 3 times you have fooled me and have not told me the source of your great power.
Because day after day she kept nagging him and pressuring him, he was weary to the point of dying. So he finally opened his... I'm sorry, Danielle. In the beginning of the video, you stated Jesus will come back and create a paradise earth. Wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. Jehovah will come back. Correction. Thank you, Danielle. What is wrong with me lately? I've been saying the wrong things lately. Jehovah will come back and create a paradise on earth. Not Jesus. That's right. Thank you so much, Danielle. I can always count on you to correct me. Thank you, Danielle. I really appreciate it. Good Lord. Don't go nowhere, Danielle. Stay. And by the way, hi, how are you? Oh, wow, that's been a long time. I am so sorry, Danielle. I did not see that comment. Hi, Ivy, hush. You let Lil sleep. Heart to her, saying,
A razor has never touched my head, because I am a Nazarite of God from birth. If I am shaved, my power will leave me, and I will grow weak and become like all other men.
When Delilah saw that he had opened his heart to her, she immediately summoned the Philistine lord, saying,
Come up this time, for he has opened his heart to me.
So the Philistine lords came up to her, bringing the money with them. She made him fall asleep on her knees. Then she called the man and had him shave off the 7 braids of his head. After that, she began to have control over him, for his power was leaving him. Now she called out,
"The Philistines are upon you, Samson."
He woke up from his sleep and said,
I will go out as at other times and shake myself free.
but he did not know that Jehovah had left him. So the Philistines seized him and bored his eyes out. Then they brought him down to Gaza and bound him with 2 copper fetters, and he became a grinder of grain in the prison. But the hair of his head started to grow back again after he had been shaved. The Philistine lords gathered together to offer a great sacrifice to Dagon, their god, and to celebrate, for they were saying,
Our God has given Samson, our enemy, into our hand.
when the people saw him, they praised their God and said,
Our God has given into our hand our enemy, the one who devastated our land and killed so many of us.
because their heart was cheerful, they said,
Call Samson to provide us some amusement.
So they called Samson out of the prison to entertain them. They made him stand between the pillars. Then Samson said to the boy holding him by the hand,
Let me feel the pillars that support the house,
Lay down.
so that I can lean against
Lay
them.
down.
Incidentally, the house was full of men and women. All the Philistine
Sorry, guys.
lords were there. And on the roof, there were about 3,000 men and women who were looking on while Samson provided amusement. Samson now called out to Jehovah,
Sovereign Lord Jehovah, remember me, please, and strengthen me, please, just this once, O God, and let me take revenge on the Philistines for one of my 2 eyes.
Then Samson braced himself against the 2 middle pillars that supported the house, and he leaned on them with his right hand on one and his left hand on the other. Samson called out,
Let me die with the Philistines.
Then he pushed with all his might, and the house fell on the lords and all the people in it. So he killed more at his death than he had killed during his life.
Wow.
Later, his brothers and all his father's family came down to take him back. They brought him up and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol in the tomb of Manoah, his father. He had judged Israel for 20 years.
Wow. Mm. A little boy serves God. It's almost 9 o'clock. Wow. It's okay.
Story number 55. A little boy serves God. Isn't this a good-looking little boy? His name is Samuel. And the man with his hand on Samuel's head is Israel's high priest Eli. That is Samuel's father, Elkanah, and his mother Hannah, who are bringing Samuel to Eli. Samuel is only about 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah,
But he
still
will
about
live
right
here
there.
in Jehovah's tabernacle with Eli and the other priests. Why would Elkanah and Hannah give someone so young as Samuel to serve Jehovah at the tabernacle? Let's see. It was just a few years before this that Hannah was very sad. The reason is that she could not have a baby, and she wanted one very, very much. So one day when Hannah was visiting Jehovah's tabernacle, she prayed, Oh, Jehovah, do not forget me. If you give me a son, I promise that I will give him to you so that he could serve you all his life. Jehovah answered Hannah's prayer, and months later she gave birth to Samuel. Hannah loved her little boy, and she
Samson.
began teaching him about Jehovah when he was still very little. She told her husband, as soon as Samuel is old enough so he does not need to be nursed anymore, I will take him to the tabernacle to serve Jehovah there. This is what we see Hannah and Elkanah doing in the picture. And because Samuel has been taught so well by his parents, he is glad to be able to serve Jehovah here at Jehovah's tent.
Oh, it's a different
Each year,
story,
Hannah
different.
and Elkanah come to worship at this special tent and to visit their little boy. And each year, Hannah brings a new sleeveless coat that she has made for Samuel. As the years go by, Samuel keeps on serving at Jehovah's tabernacle, and both Jehovah and the people like him. But High Priest Eli's sons Hophni and Phinehas are no good. They do many bad things and get others to disobey Jehovah too. Eli should remove them from being priests, but he does not. Young Samuel doesn't let any of the bad things going on at the tabernacle cause him to stop serving Jehovah. But because so few people really love Jehovah, it has been a long time since Jehovah has spoken to any human. When Samuel grows a little older, this is what happens. Samuel is asleep in the tabernacle when a voice wakes him up. He answers, "Here I am." And he gets up and runs to Eli and says, "You call me, and here I am." But Eli answers, "I did not call you. Go back to bed." So Samuel goes back to bed. Then there is a second call. "Samuel." So Samuel gets up and again runs to Eli. "You call me, and here I am," he says. But Eli answers, "I did not call, my son. Lie down again." So Samuel returns to bed. "Samuel," the voice calls a third time. So Samuel runs to Eli. "Here I am, for you must have called me this time," he says. Eli knows now that it must be Jehovah who is calling. So he tells Samuel, "Go lie down once more, and if he calls again, you must say, 'Speak, Jehovah, for your servant is listening.'" This is what Samuel says when Jehovah calls again. Jehovah then tells Samuel that he is going to punish Eli and his sons. Later, Hophni and Phinehas die in battle with the Philistines. And when Eli hears what has happened, he falls over, breaks his neck, and dies too. So Jehovah's word comes true. Samuel grows up and becomes the last judge of Israel. When he grows old, the people ask him, "Choose a king to rule over us." Samuel does not want to do this, because really Jehovah is their king. But Jehovah tells him to listen to the people. Part 4.
Ivy, stop! Just lay down, please. She's like sitting there whining. Okay, let's read these passages. Excuse me. This one might be the whole thing. This is 1 Samuel chapter 1 through 28. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do.
The first of Samuel, chapter 1. Now there was a man of Ramathaim Zophim of the mountainous region of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. He had 2 wives. One was named Hannah, and the other was named Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. That man went up from his city year after year to worship and to sacrifice to Jehovah of armies in Shiloh. That is where the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, served as priests to Jehovah. One day, when Elkanah offered a sacrifice, he gave portions to his wife Peninnah, as well as to all her sons and her daughters. But to Hannah he gave a special portion, because Hannah was the one he loved. But Jehovah had not given her children. Moreover, her rival wife taunted her relentlessly in order to upset her, because Jehovah had not given her children. That is what she would do year after year. Whenever Hannah went up to the house of Jehovah, her rival would taunt her so much that she would weep and not eat. But her husband Elkanah said to her,
Hannah, why do you weep? And why do you not eat? And why are you so sad? Am I not better to you than 10 sons?
Then Hannah got up, after they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh. At the time, Eli the priest was sitting on the seat by the doorpost of the temple of Jehovah. Hannah was extremely bitter, and she began to pray to Jehovah and to weep uncontrollably. And she made this vow.
O Jehovah of armies, if you look upon the affliction of your servant and remember me, and you do not forget your servant, and give to your servant a male child, I will give him to Jehovah all the days of his life, and no razor will touch his head.
While she prayed for a long time before Jehovah, Eli was watching her mouth. Hannah was speaking in her heart, only her lips were trembling, but her voice was not heard. So Eli thought she was drunk. Eli said to her,
How long will you stay drunk? Stop drinking your wine.
At this, Hannah answered,
No, my lord, I am a woman under great stress. I have not drunk wine or anything alcoholic, but I am pouring out my soul before Jehovah. Do not take your servant for a worthless woman, for I have been speaking until now out of my great anguish and distress.
Then Eli answered,
Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant your petition that you have asked of him.
To this she said,
Let your servant find favor in your eyes.
And the woman went on her way and ate, and her face was no longer downcast. Then they got up early in the morning and bowed before Jehovah, after which they returned to their house in Ramah. Elkanah had sexual relations with his wife Hannah, and Jehovah gave attention to her. Within a year, Hannah became pregnant and gave birth to a son, and named him Samuel, because, as she said,
It is from Jehovah that I have asked him.
In time, Elkanah went up with all his household to offer the yearly sacrifice to Jehovah, and to present his vow offering. But Hannah did not go up, for she said to her husband,
As soon as the boy is weaned, I will bring him. Then he will appear before Jehovah, and remain there from then on.
Elkanah her husband then said to her,
Do what you think is best. Stay at home until you wean him. May Jehovah carry out what you have said.
So the woman stayed at home and nursed her son until she weaned him. As soon as she had weaned him, she took him up to Shiloh, along with a 3-year-old bull, 1 ephah of flour, and a large jar of wine. And she came to the house of Jehovah in Shiloh, and brought the young boy with her. Then they slaughtered the bull, and brought the boy to Eli. With that she said,
Pardon me, my lord. As surely as you live, my lord, I am the woman who was standing with you in this place to pray to Jehovah. It was for this boy that I prayed, and Jehovah granted my petition that I asked of him. I, in turn, now lend him to Jehovah. For all his days, he is lent to Jehovah.
and he bowed down there to Jehovah.
All right.
Chapter 2.
No, I was trying to get her toys so she can, you know, have something to do besides sitting there alone. Yeah, number 2, Samuel, chapter 2, verses 11 through 36.
Then Elkanah went to his house in Ramah, but the boy became a minister of Jehovah before Eli the priest.
Okay.
Now the sons of Eli were wicked men. They had no regard for Jehovah. This is what they did with the due right of the priests from the people. Whenever any man was offering a sacrifice, an attendant of the priest came with a 3-pronged fork in his hand when the meat was boiling, and he would thrust it into the basin, the 2-handled cooking pot, the cauldron, or the 1-handled cooking pot. Whatever the fork brought up, the priest would take for himself. That is what they would do in Shiloh to all the Israelites coming there. Also, even before the man sacrificing could make the fat smoke, an attendant of the priest would come and say to him,
Give the priest meat to roast. He will not take boiled meat from you, only raw meat.
When the man would say to him,
Let them first be sure to make the fat smoke, then take for yourself whatever you desire.
he would say,
No, give it to me now. If not, I will take it by force.
Thus the sin of the attendants came to be very great before Jehovah, for the men treated the offering of Jehovah with disrespect. Now Samuel was ministering before Jehovah, wearing a linen ephod, though he was just a boy. Also his mother would make for him a little sleeveless coat, and she brought it up to him year after year when she came up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. And Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife, and said,
May Jehovah grant you a child from this wife, in place of the one who was lent to Jehovah.
And they went back home. Jehovah turned his attention to Hannah, so that she could conceive, and she gave birth to 3 more sons and 2 daughters. And the boy Samuel continued growing up before Jehovah. Now Eli was very old, but he had heard about everything that his sons were doing to all Israel, and how they would lie down with the women who served at the entrance of the tent of meeting. He used to say to them,
Why do you keep doing things like these? For the things I am hearing about you from all the people are bad. No, my sons, the report that I hear circulating among the people of Jehovah is not good. If a man should sin against another man, someone may appeal to Jehovah for him. But if a man should sin against Jehovah, who can pray for him?
But they refused to listen to their father, for Jehovah had determined to put them to death. Meanwhile, the boy Samuel kept growing in stature and in favor, both with Jehovah and with the people. A man of God came to Eli and said to him,
This is what Jehovah says. Did I not plainly reveal myself to your father's house while they were in Egypt as slaves to the house of Pharaoh? And he was chosen out of all the tribes of Israel to serve as my priest and to go up on my altar to make sacrifices, to offer incense, and to bear an ephod before me. And I gave to the house of your forefather all the offerings made by fire of the Israelites. Why do you men scorn my sacrifice and my offering that I have commanded in my place of dwelling? Why do you keep honoring your sons more than me by fattening yourselves from the best portions of every offering of my people Israel? That is why the word of Jehovah the God of Israel is, I did indeed say that your house and the house of your forefather would always walk before me. But now, Jehovah declares, it is unthinkable on my part, because those honoring me I will honor, but those despising me will be treated with contempt. Look, days are coming when I will cut off your strength and that of your father's house, so that no man in your house will live to old age. and you will look upon a rival in my dwelling amid all the good that is done to Israel. And never again will there be an old man in your house. The man of yours whom I do not cut off from serving at my altar will cause your eyes to fail and will bring you grief. But the greater number of your house will die by the sword of men. And what happens to your two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, will be the sign for you. On one day, both of them will die. Then I will raise up for myself a faithful priest. He will act in harmony with what is my heart's desire, and I will build for him a lasting house, and he will walk before my anointed one always. Anyone who remains in your house will come and bow down to him for the payment of money and a loaf of bread, and will say, assign me, please, to one of the priestly offices to eat a piece of bread.
No. I'm getting my other iPad on the chat because I don't think this chat's working. Chapter 4, verses 16 to 18. Look. Come on. Then the man said to Eli, I am the one who came from the battle line. Just today I fled from the battle line. At this he asked, what happened, my son? So the bearer of the news related, Israel has fled from the Philistines, and there was a great defeat among the people. Also your own two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, has died, and the ark of the true God has been captured. At the moment he mentioned the ark of the true God, Eli fell backwards from his seat beside the gate, and his neck was broken, and he died. For he was old and heavy, and had judged Israel for 40 years. Oh, did I see that one? 4 through 9? Yes, I did. Now chapter 8, 4 through 9. In time all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah. They said to him, look, you have grown old, but your sons are not walking in your ways. Now appoint for us a king to judge us. Hold on. Now appoint for us a king to judge us, like all the other nations. But it displeased Samuel when they said, give us a king to judge us. Then Samuel prayed to Jehovah, and Jehovah said to Samuel, listen to everything the people say to you, for it is not you whom they have rejected, but it is I whom they have rejected as their king. They are doing just as they have done from the day I brought them up out of Egypt. Until this day they keep forsaking me and serving other gods, and that is what they are doing to you. Now listen to them. However, you should solemnly warn them. Tell them what the king who rules over them will have the right to demand. Yes. Hold on, baby. We're almost done. And then, where's it? Matthew chapter 12 is, Carol's request. Matthew chapter 12, verse 15, I know that's here. Having come to know this, Jesus departed from there. Many also followed him, and he cured them all. Good girl, Carol. We'll stick to 1 and see how you do, and then we'll go to 2. You must be correct on these. And same with me, just like me. I'm glad Danielle came in and corrected me, because I was all wrong. It's Jehovah will come back and save us. So, I love you all. Danielle, thank you once again. Love, don't judge.